from the res life, big lessons for the world, dreaming big.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Willie Cheez Education channel. My name is Delmar, and I love to write stories and read them back to you, inspiring you to learn through the power of storytelling. Through the adventures of Willie Cheez, we explore personal development, Navajo culture, ceremonies, native histories, and life lessons that will help you grow and connect with both tradition and modern life. And I'm excited to share with you on a new story called Willie Cheez and the Navajo Code Talker, a story of honor and legacy. Part 1, An Unexpected Encounter. Willie Cheez had always been curious about the stories his elders told, stories of the past, of the Navajo people's resilience and strength. But there was one story he had always wanted to hear firsthand, the story of the Navajo Code Talkers, the brave men who used their language to help win World War II. Willie had read about them in books and heard bits and pieces from others, but he longed to meet one of these heroes in person. One day, while visiting a nearby town with his family, Willie noticed an older man sitting quietly on a bench outside a trading post. The man wore a worn leather jacket adorned with military patches and a cap that read, Navajo Code Talker. Willie's heart skipped a beat. Could this be one of the heroes he had always wanted to meet? Gathering his courage, Willie approached the man. "Excuse me, sir," he said softly. "Are you really a Navajo Code Talker?" The man looked up, his eyes sharp and full of wisdom. He smiled gently and nodded. "Yes, I am. My name is Chester Begay." Willie's eyes widened with awe. "I've always wanted to meet a Code Talker. Can you tell me what it was like? What you did during the war?" Chester patted the bench beside him, inviting Willie to sit. "I'd be honored to share my story with you, son. It's important that our people, especially the younger generation, understand the role we played." Part 2, The Call to Serve. Chester Begay began his story by explaining how he and many other young Navajo men were called to serve their country during World War II. "Back then, we didn't know what to expect," Chester said. "Most of us had never been beyond the reservation, but we were eager to serve, to protect our land and our people." Chester explained that the U.S. military had a unique need during the war, a secure way to communicate that the enemy couldn't decipher. "The Japanese had been breaking all of the military's codes," Chester continued. "It was putting our troops in danger. They needed something unbreakable, something the enemy could never figure out. That's when the military turned to the Navajo language, a complex and unwritten language that few outside the Navajo people understood. They came to us, and they asked if we would use our language to create a code," Chester said. At first it was hard to believe. Our language, which had been suppressed and forbidden for so long, was now being seen as a weapon, a tool that could save lives. Part 3, The Code. Chester explained how he and the other Navajo recruits developed the code. "We took our language and adapted it to military needs," he said. "We created words for military terms, like using turtle for tank or whale for battleship. It was a code within a code, and only we could understand it." Willie listened intently, imagining the pressure these young men must have felt, knowing that the success of their mission depended on their ability to communicate clearly and accurately. Chester described how they had to memorize the code and use it under intense combat conditions, where even the slightest mistake could be deadly. "We trained hard," Chester continued. "We knew that lives depended on us getting it right, but we also felt a deep pride in what we were doing. We were using our language, something that was part of our identity, part of who we were, to protect our people and our country." Part 4, The Reality of War. Chester's voice grew somber as he recounted the realities of war. "It wasn't easy," he said quietly. "We saw things no one should ever have to see. The noise, the chaos, the loss, it stays with you. But we kept going because we knew how important our work was." Willie could see the pain in Chester's eyes, the memories of battles fought and friends lost. "Did you ever feel afraid?" Willie asked softly. "Of course," Chester replied. "We were all afraid. But we also knew that fear couldn't stop us. We had a job to do, and we had to do it. The lives of our fellow soldiers depended on us, and we couldn't let them down." Chester explained how the Code Talkers played a crucial role in key battles, sending and receiving messages that directed troop movements, called in airstrikes, and coordinated attacks. "The enemy never broke our code," Chester said with a hint of pride. "They never even came close. Our language, our Navajo language, was the key to victory." Part 5. A Legacy of Honor. Willie sat in awe, realizing the immense responsibility and courage it took to be a Navajo Code Talker. "You and the other Code Talkers, what you did was incredible," Willie said. "You helped win the war." Chester nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We did what we had to do," he said, "but it wasn't just about winning the war. For us, it was about more than that. It was about showing the world the strength of our people, the value of our culture and language. For so long, we were told that our language had no place in the modern world. But during the war, it became the most powerful weapon we had." Willie felt a surge of pride in his heritage, understanding for the first time the true significance of the Navajo Code Talkers. "You didn't just save lives. You showed the world that our language, our culture, is something to be respected and honored." Chester smiled, a glint of pride in his eyes. "That's right, Willie. Our language is a blessing, a gift from our ancestors. It's something that connects us to our past and gives us strength for the future. That's why it's so important for you and others to keep it alive, to honor it, and to pass it on." Part 6. A Lesson for the Future. As their conversation came to an end, Willie felt a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. "Thank you for sharing your story with me," Willie said. "I'll never forget what you and the other Code Talkers did." Chester placed a hand on Willie's shoulder. "Remember, Willie, the strength of our people lies in our culture, our language, and our connection to each other. We've faced many challenges, but we've always found a way to overcome them. The Code Talkers showed that even in the darkest times, our heritage can be a source of light and strength." Willie nodded, feeling the weight of Chester's words. He knew that it was up to his generation to carry on the legacy of the Navajo Code Talkers, to ensure that their contributions were never forgotten and that their language continued to be spoken and cherished. As Willie walked away from the trading post, he felt a renewed sense of pride in his Navajo heritage. He understood now more than ever that the Navajo Code Talkers were more than just war heroes. They were guardians of a language and culture that had the power to change the world. A legacy remembered. In the years that followed, Willie Cheez often thought about his encounter with Chester Begay. He made it his mission to learn more about the Navajo Code Talkers and to share their story with others. He knew that their legacy was not just a part of Navajo history, but a vital piece of American history as well. Willie spoke at schools and community gatherings, teaching others about the incredible contributions of the Code Talkers. He reminded his listeners that the Navajo language, once suppressed and undervalued, had become a crucial tool in securing freedom and saving lives. Through his efforts, Willie ensured that the story of the Navajo Code Talkers would continue to inspire future generations. He knew that their courage, their wisdom, and their deep connection to their language and culture were lessons that would never lose their relevance. And as he stood before those who came to hear him speak, Willie carried with him the pride and the honor of the Navajo Code Talkers, knowing that their legacy would live on, not just in the history books, but in the hearts and minds of the people they had served.
From the res life, big lessons for the world, dreaming big.